Thank you. My question is to Mark Henick. And Mark, I've known you for a few years, and I met you because you're an outstanding mental health advocate. You have used your compelling personal experience surviving a serious suicide attempt to help so many Canadians. And during the course of this study so far, we've been hearing from some experts, professors, and lawyers who tell us that excluding mental illness from assisted suicide is discriminatory and stigmatizing to those who suffer with mental illness. But you know what? Rather than just hearing from these professors and lawyers with ivory tower ideas, I want to hear from people who actually struggle with mental illness and who have resisted suicidal urges. The millions of Canadians who struggle with depression and anxiety and who need hope. For them, assisted suicide for mental illness is not some theoretical, legalistic question to ponder. It is a shockingly real issue. So, Mark, as someone who has come through the darkest times yourself, do you think that excluding mental illness from MAID is discriminatory or stigmatizing?
Thank you, Senator Batters. No, I do not feel that it's exclusionary, discriminatory. In fact, I think that it's quite the opposite. That I think we've done a very good job over the last 10 years or so of raising mental health awareness, of helping people to have the conversation in more context than ever before. But I think because we've thought of mental illness in the same old stigmatizing and discriminatory way for virtually all of human history, we've only started to scratch the surface. And that level of awareness, that mental health literacy, really hasn't become all that sophisticated yet. So when we say things like depression is just like cancer, it's actually not. It collapses important differences, particularly with respect to the social determinants of health. I think Heather Stewart, a researcher out of Queen's University, has referred to the fact that when we bang the drum of biological determinism too hard, that it embeds stigma further. That is to say that when we communicate that people's brains are broken, that they were born this way, for example, and that they can never change because they just happen to be one of the unlucky few, that's not helpful, and it's actually not scientifically true. It's not accurate. We know that recovery from even severe and persistent mental illnesses is not only possible, but rather when people receive the help and support that they need, the amount and type they need when they need it, recovery is actually expected. Recovery is likely when people get the help that they need. The fact that we're failing to do that, we're failing to help people live, yet now we're considering jumping to the conclusion of helping people to die, I think is unconscionable. So if we really want to raise effective mental health awareness and help people who are struggling, then we need to actually help them. And we have a long road to go before we accomplish that goal.
Yes, and for yourself, when you were in those darkest times, and if assisted suicide would have been available to people solely with mental illness, would you have taken advantage of that at the time? And what do you think about that now?
I absolutely would have. The suffering was so grievous. I couldn't see anything outside of it. The way that mental illness works, I've talked about this before, is that it collapses around you. It puts blinders on you. So even if there are other options there, you can't always see them. That's a function of what the illness does. The depression doesn't want to be caught. It doesn't want to be vacated from you. It burrows itself inside you. So I think that I absolutely would have. And because of my history of trauma, research shows that young kids, especially who have a history of trauma, tend to age faster. They mature faster because they need to out of necessity, self-protective necessity. So I easily would have been a mature minor. Anybody who knew me as a minor would have said that too. And I would have qualified. Because of my extensive psychiatric history, I think I would still qualify someday. So I hope that I never fall into that place again where I can't see outside of my own blinders, the blinders that the illness has put on me, because I don't think that this should be an option. I've had a beautiful life since I was able to get to the other side of that mountain.
Thank you.